I'm a real big believer in setting goals, big, hairy, audacious goals, creating your dream where you want to go. I'm a very big believer on the law of attraction, the law of attraction. I think oftentimes when you're talking about the law of attraction, people forget that the word action is actually part of the word attraction. And
Mm,
so you have to take action. You can't just wish for things, but you have to take action. I'm a big believer in big dreams. And I think that starts with having hope. And we're living in a time right now where a lot of people don't have very much hope.
right.
And I have always believed that you have to look for the positive in things. You shared your story with me, which you may not know is that I was diagnosed with cancer 8 years ago.
I did
And
not.
yeah, and I'm in remission. I did it holistically, by the way. Never had radiation surgery or chemotherapy and
Mm,
went into remission. That's a whole other story. But when I was diagnosed with cancer and I was driving back I had a biopsy and I was driving back. Actually, my family was down in San Diego and it was a 2 hour drive. I was LA traffic, always slow. I had a little notepad next to me and I actually wrote possible positive outcomes of a cancer diagnosis. And I wrote eight or nine things that I thought would be positive and could possibly happen as a result of me getting this diagnosis. And Casanova, every single one of those 8 things came true.
mm.
Every single one. And so that's why I believe in hope. And I believe in taking a look at a positive spin on negative things that happen in our life. Hope is listening to that little voice inside you talking about what can be when everyone around you is screaming what can't be.
Right.
Hope plus action, hope plus a plan and action create amazing results. Hope, plan, action.
I love it. I love it. This has been, again, a phenomenal conversation. I can't say that I'm surprised because I knew from the moment that you hopped on here, the energy was just amazing coming from you. There's somebody out there right now that's just as inspired as I am, and they want to blaze their own path just like you've done, but they have that little voice in their head, that little voice that says that they're not strong enough, they're not smart enough, or maybe they just don't have enough resources. What's the one thing that you would say to that person to get them to just take action?
I think we all come to the world with something special. We all have some superpower that we may not be using. And I heard you use that expression earlier. I love that expression. Here's my superpower. You may think it's networking. It's actually not. I taught myself how to do that. My superpower is persistence.
Mm,
I am like a dog with a bone. I learned years ago, if you want to be successful, do 6 things 1,000 times, not 1,000 things 6 times.
mm.
6 things 1,000. It doesn't have to be six. It could be five. It could be seven. But you do it persistently. So the answer to your question, I think, is take your superpower, figure out what you believe it to be, and then show the world that superpower and understand that it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time for you to achieve the kinds of success that you want, but you got to believe in yourself and you got to use that superpower that God gave you.
And that reminds me of the quote, and this is something that a mentor said to me one time, and he said, and this was early on in my sales career, but he said, you got to just understand and be okay with persistence respects persistence, because anybody who you're trying to sell, if they're successful and they're really a good person, they'll recognize that they were where you are at one point, because nobody just creates it overnight. So when you're making those phone calls, when you're in there on a Saturday, when you're doing those follow-up emails, they're most likely still in the trenches doing it, or they have someone on their team doing it, or
Right.
they remember where they started out at. And so that gives the connection all in itself. So again, persistence respects persistence. And yeah, I